All right, welcome back, everybody, to Trey Sanchez YouTube channel, and just trying to get the stream going here. It's always something getting it going, but it seems to be working just fine. Let me update Commander-in-Chief. All right. Always something trying to get this stream going, so I'm just double checking on the stream health, and that'll give us a few minutes. See if anybody wants to catch it from the start is what we're gonna do. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna check it out, see how it looks on my phone, just because the stream used to okay, it looks good right now. Used to start another stream, or it didn't want to start. It wasn't showing the picture at first, but it looks like it is now. So anyway, without further ado, here we are in Dallas Fort Worth. We are on the FNO. It is the day prior to the Flight Sim Expo 2021, which I will be attending tomorrow with my daughter, Saturday and Sunday. Even though we only live about an hour away, I decided not to go to it tonight, just because it's a smaller event. I think it's like the Captain's Corner or something like that. However, we'll be joining the Flight Sim Expo tomorrow, God willing. Good wake up, nice hour-long drive, and be taking in the sights and hopefully catching up with some wonderful folks. So, let's talk about this aircraft here. This is Just Flight's British Aerospace, their rendition anyway, of the British Aerospace BAE 146. This is the 200 model. I also have the 100 and the 300. This airplane is actually not in service in most places. I'm sure it's still used somewhere, somehow. But we're going to be flying it today for an American, for a vintage flight here. So before we get on board, let us get up and just see. It's not too busy here for FNO, and that could be simply because of the I mean, there's some aircraft here, but that could simply be because of the Flight Sim Expo, or it could just be because it's Friday, September 24th, and people aren't on. We'll never know. But at any rate, this is what Dallas Fort Worth looks like. We're doing a quick hop over to Tulsa, and then maybe on the way back. And the reason why I say maybe on the way back is simply because this aircraft, we're going to do all the checklists and everything today, as it's sitting here at the ramp. So I don't even have the ground power on yet, because I want to do this from scratch, so folks who are not familiar with this aircraft can familiarize themselves where everything is on the checklist. And I know that's a main point of contention for folks doing the checklist, trying to fast track to knowing how to get the aircraft up and running. So there's that. This aircraft definitely has some different nuances to it, and it doesn't have a map display for you to see yourself where you're going, so it's definitely old school. So it tests your flying out. So let's get back on board here and get this thing going, guys. And yeah, we'll see if we can get it moving. So what I'm gonna do is just show you a couple of things while the music's on, and then I'll turn the music off, so we can actually run through all the checklists. So, and I'll try to be prudent about checking the stream. So as you can see here, there's a tablet up here, but you can also get rid of that. And this is some of the things we'll talk about before we even get into the checklist. So you can get rid of that, but it's redundant. If you push it here or here, it's actually going to come up. Now, there's another way to access that tablet as well, by clicking this arrow feature here. And you can see there's a list here. This is the checklist. So if you click that, the checklist comes up. If you click this, some analytics, the flight computer comes up. But if you wanted to get to that other interface that's on the tablet, you could also get to it right here. I like using it on the tablet. So anyway, that's one little note about it. Another little note, again, what you notice here, there is no MFD here. So, you know, basically we've got our primary flight display, our HSI right here, and not a whole lot of high-tech fancy avionics, but that's why this thing truly puts your flying skills to the test. So we'll be doing that today. Let me see, any other house notes? Of course, you can take the yoke on and off, of course. I always like to tell folks, go ahead and put the armrests up, so you just grab it and hold it, and grab it and hold it. Armrests out of the way, and as far as up top goes, it's all good. This aircraft is definitely worth the money. It's a high-level simulation. So, with that being said, I think it's time to shut the music down, and we are going to get this thing going from scratch here, folks. All right, music is off. There's a good reason the music's off, because we have a lot to do to get out of here. So first things first, obviously we need to get some ground power on here, so we can definitely come back here. As you see, the tablet is not here, so we're going to put the tablet here. Now also on the tablet, you also have this feature up here that allows you to switch it from the interface for the fuel and doors and zero fuel weight, empty weight, and takeoff weight and all that good stuff here. You can also select this to pounds, which I have selected this to pounds. But if you want to fly in kilograms, you can most certainly fly this thing in kilograms with no problem. You can also do your sim brief. You can select kilograms too, so they both will match up. So it's really no big deal. We're about to put the GPU on, but I want to show you something else different here. We're also going to be talking about once you click these two little squares here, which basically references it changing from the interface to use to load the fuel and passengers and open doors to the Avi tab, which this is. So we'll get into that here in a second as we move along, as we start doing our flight planning. In the meantime, let's go ahead and start powering up the aircraft, but we're going to do it by the checklist as promised. You know, most of my flights I don't do checklists, but I feel like this one is very safe. Each one of these we're going to go through and just double check that you guys know where everything's at. So let's do this together. So first of all, gear lever is down, which is here. The radar, which is here, is obviously off and to standby. I mean, we don't even have power on here yet. You know what? Let's do that, because that's not really part of the checklist. So let's get rid of that. So let's get the GPU going. Thing sounded like it didn't want to start. So we got the GPU going. So now let's go up top here and familiarize ourselves with this. So we're not going to turn any lights or anything on yet, just simply because we don't have any power. So here's your batteries right here, battery 1 and 2. This is your electric panel. This whole panel is your electric panel right here, okay? So I mean, I always recommend that people familiarize themselves with all the panels and where everything is at first, but I know that can be kind of difficult, especially if you just want to get in and sim. So that's what I'm here for today, to help you guys be able to do that. So I'm going to turn battery 1, battery 2 on, of course, and then these are all your buses here. This is your external power. Don't turn it on just yet. You want to put the AC and the DC bus ties in the auto position, and you want to arm the standby inverter and the standby generator, which is also part of a checklist, but we're doing it now. Now you can come over here and turn it on, and it will get rid of those because they actually have power going to there, so they're being fed. Of course, you also want to make sure that your DC and your AC volts are where they're at, so you want to turn this to the external DC. It takes about a second or two for it to catch up. 1, 2, and then there it goes right there. So that's on right now. And then, of course, something else that will be in the checklist is going to be getting our nav lights on. So let's just do that now. We'll get the logo on, and we're also going to get the nav lights on. Now, there's two choices here for the nav lights: low intensity, high intensity. I say if I want them to see me, I'm always going to put it on high intensity, but you guys do as you wish, obviously, in your sim world. So with that being said, let's scroll back down now, because we are just going to keep pushing on with the checklist. All right, and of course here are your cautions and warnings. Now here's the checklist once again. So we got gear lever down. Now let's get back to this. The radar is in the off or standby position. Well, it's really off right now, which is fine, but we can just put it in the standby by clicking that. So I'll try to give you a little bit better view. So there's off, standby, weather, map, and I can't see what that is. But anyway, that is there. Of course, now we can come over here to our transponder. Transponder is definitely in standby. Now we're going to see, make sure the air brake is in. The air brake is in. This is it, this lever here. So the air brake is in. We also want to see flaps indicated. Flaps indicated is 0, and the flap notch lever is in the up position. We just turned the navigation lights on. The batteries are on, obviously. The gear is down with 3 greens indicated right here. All right. Now we have our brakes. So if you come down here, you see where it says yellow and green. The brakes are all off and in the park position, as you can see. So you can see right here, one says yellow, one says green. So that brakes yellow and park. So there's the brakes, the yellow. And if you also want to check if it's in the parking brake zone is right there. So those two are going to be checked. Now there'll be times I'm just going to be looking up because it's going to be easier. So I'm just going to look up. But obviously either I'm going to look up or I'm going to do this. So let me go ahead and look up, because that's going to make some of the flows easier when I can get to them, as long as my track IR will allow me to get to that limits. All right, let's see here. And which it's not going to let me get to that limit because it's way up there. So we actually got to come up top and slide up. That's how this panel is pretty detailed as the real air, to mirror the real aircraft, but it's a big panel and there's a lot of buttons to push on there. Okay, the master switches. Now it's going to reference the yaw, damp, master at a later point in these, for the avionics and the yaw damper, but you can just turn them all on right now. This is the autopilot master. This is avionics alpha and bravo. So that is checked. Anti-skid and lift spoilers are on. So there's the anti-skid. It's already in the on position. This is the auto spoiler is not modeled in this aircraft, so no worries there. And then the lift spoilers, the yellow and the green, you want to turn those on, or you will get a message on the annunciator panel later. Bus ties to auto. We obviously already did that. That's back on your electrical panel. We took care of that already, guys. So that's going to be taken care of. The standby inverter armed and checked. Here's the standby inverter armed and checked. Standby generators in the armed position. So we've checked that. Generators 1 and 4 are off. Generators 1 and 4 are off. APU generator on. So this is where it may be a little different than some aircrafts. You're actually going to turn this APU generator on first before you even start the APU. Now this is offline, so it was off to reset, offline the middle push, and you got to push it again. So now the APU generator is on. Fire handles, which we saw up here but didn't pay attention right here, they're all pushed in. We don't want to pull those out. Now if you want to do all your ground tests, which we're just going to say they're complete, this is the ground test panel here. Okay, and so you can go one by one, and there's the horn, there's speed warning. You can go through and check them. I've already checked them, but this is where it is right here, guys. If you want to do all the system warnings and check everything, you can see there's our APU fire. We want our APU overspeed, our stall warning. You can see the sound, it's shaking the yoke is what it does. So there we go, guys. So we did all of our ground tests. They are complete. External AC on if required. We do have it on. So as you can see, here is the external AC, and we have it in the on position. That's the reason why we've got power. The APU on if required. We are not doing that. All right, this is the warning system here, the MWS, and it's right here. We can go ahead and check it doing its little test. You can see right now it'll light up everything on the annunciator panel as well as the warning and caution. You release it, it goes off, and it'll be that back in there because you mess with it. Now the annunciator test, there's 2 annunciator locations. There's an annunciator test button right here. So you're going to test that, and it's going to test the rest of the warnings and indicators for autopilot and everything else up. So you just keep holding it and look all around the aircraft, and that looks good. So the annunciator test is done. Now we're going to turn on the cabin emergency lights. Again, we could potentially look up and try to get it, but it's way up there, and I think it actually will let me get it. So it's on the light panel. Here's the candle emergency, and it wants you to do it to the arm position, which is going to just be one push. One push, and it's in the arm position because it's in the middle area right there. So that's checked. The air conditioning as required. We don't have any air conditioning running right now, so the people are getting on right now with no air, but that's okay. It's cool enough. Now here's the DC pump right here, and it's asking to test it. So what you want to do is just come over here. You can even just hold it, and there's no warning, so that's good to go. Also too, let's check one thing on that DC pump test. Ground, that's all the ground tests right there. There's your engine overspeeds and the rest for engine spire, so we'll find there. Alright, so that will complete this page of the flight deck safety. Now we're on to the next page, still the flight deck safety, guys. So the AC pump and PTU on and check, thrust levers, config check and off, AC pump and PTU back off. So we're going to turn it on and off. Let's check those thrust levers. They are down with the fuel off, guys. Okay, I can't even move them forward. Even if I wanted to, I can't move them forward. I just tried to use it on my throttle, so they're checked. And the reason why I wanted to do that, so we don't have to look back down in the middle of checking what we're getting ready to do right now. Okay, so the AC pump and PTU right here, this is your hydraulics panel. So you're going to turn the AC pump on, and you're going to turn the PTU on. We see that they're working, and now we can just turn them right back off, which is what we did. It'll get the low pressure. All right, the continuous ignition, of course, is in the off position. That is here. The anti-ice, they want it on, even though we're going to turn it off. But let's just do what the checklist says. So we're going to turn these 4 anti-ices on for the engine, and this is all you have to do. Don't worry about this ice protection side. The heaters are off. That's basically referring to your pitot heaters and window heaters and auxiliary vane heaters and screen heat. That's going to be these. So they are in the off position. Wingtail ice protection is off here. See, it's down, so it is in the off position. Engine air is also off. This is the engine air. These are basically the air bleeds for the packs. So that's off. Flight deck emergency lights, we're going to arm them. That's right here, right next to your landing lights and taxi lights. This is a two-way switch. The taxi lights are activated in the down position or forward towards the glass of the cockpit, and then the landing lights are in what I like to call in the up position as you're looking at it, or facing or being turned on or toggled towards the panel, if you will. So here's the runway, flight deck emergency lights. It says it wants us to arm it, so that's one push. Now it's in the middle, we can check that. The control disc handles in, and the handles are in. All right, back up top, we go for the yaw dampers. And the yaw dampers are way up top, but we already turned them on. That's them right there. See, 1 and 2, they're already on. Check. And we have the autopilot, which the toggle is on right here. Now, one thing, we're just going to do a little shortcut. You're going to want to hit, this is the autopilot button to the right, but this is the yaw dampers to the left. You want to go ahead and hit the yaw dampers here so they're fully toggled. Because if you don't, on this panel here for the autopilot, you will get a warning. It'll be orange. And the autopilot is off, guys. And now we're on to the before start checklist, which we're not going to do just yet because I want to go ahead and get our clearance. So what we have to do here, the radios, the COM1 and the COM2 are right here. And then if you look down, this is where your transponder's at, your ADF, and your brake temperatures. We will be referencing the brake temperatures, so let's just go ahead and turn that on instead of testing it. Now we're good to go. But if you want to test it, just hold the switch down, overheat, overheat outer, max. So that's going to give you the indication that it's working just fine, and then we can turn it on. So I'm going to give you this view here. So here's the COM1 and COM2 in a better view, so we want to go ahead and turn them on, obviously. Again, if you want to test them, you just hold it all, and it's going to zero out all the digits. Zero out all the digits. And now finally we can start getting our departure frequency in here. Let's see, Fort Worth. Yeah, it's really not a huge event tonight because Fort Worth clearance is not on ground is not on, tower's not on. They have regional approach, which I'm not quite sure if that is going to be for us or not. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and plug in our radio frequency for the ATIS, which is 123. Sometimes on VATSIM the ATIS is not working. So we're gonna go over here. It is, the ATIS is for Fort Worth 23775, so 23775. So Charlie's going to be current. Let's listen to it. All right, so I'll turn that off in a second. All right, 29908, 29908. All right, perfect. Just checking a few other things here. Okay. So now we can basically turn this radio basically to the other frequency so we don't pick anything up. Now another feature that we can do is normally there's a nav radio feature in here, but this is for your VORs only for you to plug them in. So we're not even going to mess with that here on this FMS. And while we're thinking about it, let's go ahead and I'm going to do the initial ref over here because for whatever reason this LSK button here doesn't like to work. So we are going to go to the let's go to the index first, and we need to do our position. And we of course are at DFW. And then we can see everything is already good there. So where there's a route, you don't have to wait on IRS, GNS, and all that stuff to align. And we're going to Tulsa. I've never flown into Tulsa, so there's not even an arrival. We're just going to do direct to the field with probably vectors. And let's clear that out. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and activate that. Execute it. And now we can go ahead and let's figure out what's going on with our life. We'll call regional approach 25025 just to see. All right, 25025. Regional approach American 318 here at Dallas Fort Worth. Are you handling clearances, sir? Okay, cleared to Tulsa as filed. Climb via SID. Departure frequency is 25.02, squawking 0524 for American 318. All right, so let's just go ahead and shut them down. So I guess to answer our questions, we were good to go there. So now we're going to go ahead and type in our 0524 squawk. And we will continue to leave it in the standby. And of course, our departure frequency is 2502. So if you guys know how I like to fly, then you'll know that I like to put my standby frequency to at least the departure. So it's 2502, which is actually him. 2502 is the departure. Let me just make sure Fort we at, because there's nobody else on, so departure is with him as well. So we don't need to even worry about that, because again, this is not we're not flying with Pilot Edge, so we don't need all the real charts. So we have to pretty much do what frequencies that they put in. So in the meantime, now we can go ahead and plug in our rusty dusty flight plan here, guys. And sorry this is taking a little longer. I just wanted to take this time and do this because some people do not know where everything's on the aircraft, so I'm going to continue to do it just like this. And I'm not an expert on this aircraft by any means at all, but I'm just sharing to get to the checklist, and then you guys can take it from there. So our route today is really easy. We're doing the Grabe 8 Eker for the transition, and then the only other VOR that we're headed to is Tulsa, and then, you know, we'll be direct to the field. So this ought to be really easy. So let's come over here and get into the route. Actually, I want to keep doing it over here. So let's come over here and get into the route. We'll go to the next page, of course. There's nothing there, so let's do our departure and arrival. Let me look and see where exactly we are on the field. Let's see, DFW. Open up the charts. And let's see exactly where we're at. So it's a southern departure, so I'm pretty sure we're taking off 17 right. This only makes sense. Here we are on the field right here, and the departing runways are 17 right and 18 left. Well, we're not going to do 18 left over here, so we're going to be doing 17 right. So, and then most of the other charts I can show you on board, so that's not going to be a problem. Let me check in the chat here. All right, we're doing well. Okay, so now that we kind of have our life in order here, let's go ahead, and I said we're going to select 17 right for our departure, and we are taking the Grabe 8 with the Eker transition. So let's execute that. Now we'll go right into the legs, the route, and continue putting in. And then the only other thing we're going to put in now, guys, is the Tulsa VOR, and then that's it. So super short flight, but long enough. The flight will be long enough that we can get ourselves in trouble. That's for sure. So that looks good. Let's make sure there's no discontinuities, which there's not. So we can see after Eker we got a 119. So and our flying level today is only flight level 210. So we are going to just put that bad boy in. Now we're in the initial ref. 210 cost index. Even though on the flight plan for SimBrief it doesn't allow us to plan for the cost index, I put 50 in. If you want to find your zero fuel weight, you're just going to left key the top left line select key here, the LSK, and you can see 68.8. Now when you look at that, don't just take that for what it is. Come over here and look at your zero fuel weight. 68.8 is the first three digits. Obviously you're going to do the decimal between the 8s, and there's no rounding up because it's a 3, so 68.8 is most certainly accurate. So let's keep pushing, guys. Now the fuel reserves, that has to do with the flight plan. We're just going to say we've got 4,000 pounds of fuel reserves to keep it simple, and nothing else we need to worry about here. Now we need to be cognizant of how long the runway is for this aircraft, because although it has 4 engines, it's not the most powerful aircraft on takeoff, believe it or not. The runway, however, that we're taking off is 13,000 feet. So guess what, guys? We are going to take off at flaps 18. Okay. Now let's confirm our VREF speeds. Now, one thing about this aircraft you also have to deal with, and we're going to get to it, there is this thing called a thrust modulation system. Okay, thrust modulation system is right here. A lot of people think it's a thrust management system, which really it is, but it's really called a thrust modulation system. And we can, if we have time in the air, well, there's the actual manual to this aircraft is already on board, so we might be able to take a peek on it. But at any rate, we want to turn that power on. And now that the power is on, we also want to look and see what the temperature is. According to the ATIS, let me double check here, but I'm pretty sure it was 30 degrees Celsius. So let's check that out, just to make sure that we are putting in the right information. I'm going to bounce I do it a lot. I'm going to bounce the information that I got off of that ATIS to the actual ATIS. It says it's 28 degrees Celsius, flight aware. So it's like, all right, I'm going to do 29 degrees Celsius. We'll do the flight aware could be behind, so we'll just do 29 degrees Celsius. So where you're going to do that is right here. All right, 29 degrees Celsius, right? So that's in there. The temperature is on. Now you have to do is come over here to the TO or takeoff, and you're going to click that. That's what N1 is going to give us on departure. And then we also want to set our heading bugs on the aircraft, or I'm sorry, our speed bugs right here. So you're going to see, just come over here and just click in there. I mean, it just helps you do it. You would really just be setting it with your own fingers, which we could do, but it gives you, it sets it up right here, and you can see our V rotate speed is, looks like it's kind of high actually. Let's see. Maybe because I've been doing other flights in this thing. Yeah, so it's 120. V rotation is at 127. So that looks like it's a little higher than 127, but whatever. We'll roll with the punches. Now, back down we go here. So now that this is done, you also need to pay attention to your trims, which we can set up right now. We need 3.7 on the trims. So you're going to come right here to the trims. Right here. Right now it's about 3.6. I mean, you could go back to 3.5 or what you think 3.5 is, like right there, and do 1, 2. So that's basically 3.7 on the trims. Now, for lack of better words, we do have the FMC all set up. Before we continue the checklist, because now it's going to really be time to get out of here, guys. So this didn't take as long as I thought it would. So we want to go ahead and get the doors closed. Let's remove the stairs. Okay, I guess you can only open them here. Let's see if I need to go in the back and actually close it from there. See if we have any little click spots here. There we go. This was actually the first time I had the door open, so when you guys come here, there's like a little click spot in here to close the door. Where is it at? Let's find it. Well, the door is closed, but it was just like right over here. And it comes with the mouse cursor turned into one hand. And so the door is closed, and as you can see, the cabin is secure. This is a pretty nifty little wide aircraft. It's got 3 seats across, and then 3 seats across here. So there's 6 seats across, plenty of rows. So this aircraft is definitely a nice little short regional aircraft. Now we got the chocks on. We're going to remove those chocks, and while we're thinking about it, let's go ahead and do our better pushback, folks. It's probably going to give me it's always going to give me a problem to begin with. Let's try that again. Better pushback. Let's pre-plan it. All right, I always have to play this game. We just want to make sure that we don't get pushed back onto an active taxiway. So there is an aircraft next to us, quite large. So just assume we're going to get pushed back here. All right, not perfect, but
plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Good enough. All right, guys. So now let's go ahead and start the APU before we continue the checklist so that we can get out of here, folks. Okay, so to start the APU, it's just right here. What you're going to want to do first, here's your fuel pumps. You're over to the left, and your fuel panel. See, as you can see, fuel panel. So everything here is related to your fuel. And don't worry about your standby pumps or anything like that, because that's going to be something on the checklist if it's going to apply to you. But these are your main 4 pumps. You got your left outer, left inner, and right outer. You want to turn the left outer pump on position. before you start the APU, and then you're just gonna hit the APU, and you can see the RPMs and the temperatures are going up right away. So we'll let that stabilize. Okay, passing 80%. And it'll become available now. Don't forget, guys, your APU generator was already on in the checklist that we did. So you can just double check that. Now you can come over here to the external AC power and you can turn it off. And of course, now we need to go back to our interface and turn it off. Now, as promised, I told you I was going to tell you guys more about this, how it turns into an AV tab versus the interface. So we're pretty much done with this part right here. We've got our trim set, we've got our speed bugs all programmed in. So now we just need to come over here and turn this into the AV tab. Now I have Navigraph. You guys see that's what I use on there. If you don't have Navigraph, getting charts in here can go a few different ways. One of them is you can come into this feature here. Of course, you got to read this PDF and figure out, basically you're going to drop probably PNG files into a folder somewhere, and then you'll be able to get the charts here. So that means you got to go download them from somewhere, which you can download them from, several different sites, including Flight Aware. There's free downloads to the charts, and they download as I don't know if they download as a PDF, but they download as a PDF, so you might have to change it to a PNG. But at any rate, this is, wow, the FPS is really low here. Normally I'm getting 60 here, but it's probably because I'm on VATSIM and the other aircraft. Anyway, so that'll be decent enough FPS to get out of here. But now that we're in this feature, I'm going to go back to the home feature. And if you have Navigraph, what you're going to do is come over to this providers. And this is where you are going to put your Navigraph or ChartFox stuff in there. But I've already done that. Now, when you want to look for an airport, you just come into airports, click that, and then now your keyboard function is available. So we can just type in KDFW, and you can actually hit enter. And the first thing that's going to come up is the all of the frequencies, which if I was flying pilotage, this would be awesome. Not that they cover this airspace over here, but there's all the frequencies. And here's the different information about the runway. And then here is the latest and greatest, supposedly, meter right here that comes up, which is pretty nice. Now it's saying 29999er, and the temperature. Hey, look, guys, the temperature here. I said it was 29. Look, it is 29. It is 29. So that's the barometric pressure is 5, and the outside temperature is 29 degrees. And you can see the 24th day, 21:53. So what time is it now? It's pretty accurate. Yeah, so that was just a few minutes ago. So this is the most accurate. So we'll have to check the 80s again because they're probably updated. We've got scattered clouds at 2,000, broken at 2,400. Here's our altimeter, 29999er, so on and so forth. So, and this is just some other additional information on the matter that we don't need to reference right now. So that's all we need to know. So let's go back and change our altimeters to 29999er. Back over to the first officer side. And now one thing I notice about this altimeter, sometimes you don't do anything, it just resets itself back to where it wants to go. So I don't know what's up with that, but at any rate, that's all taken care of. So let's get back to this AV tab. So there is how you get to the initial information and all that good stuff as far as frequencies, runway information, as far as the meter. Now, if you want to get the charts, you're going to come to this drop-down menu here. You got to give it a few seconds to load. And now here we go. Now, if you want to come to the airport tab and you click on it, it's actually going to even show us where our position is at the airport because it's Navigraph. And I'm just basically left-clicking and holding to slide this, and I can use my zoom wheel if I want to. And obviously, you guys can see right where we're at. That's us, as we saw on the other Navigraph, and this is 17, right? So more than likely, because we are departing, we're going to get Lima for the taxi. So we'll see how that goes. And we're not necessarily going to be pushing back onto an active taxiway. At least I hope not. It doesn't look like it. So APU is on. And let me check VATSIM to see if they got any ground on. They don't. So ground is not on. So again, yeah, this is a very easy so far situation we got going on here. Let's go ahead and start our pushback. Excuse me.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
All right, so we're going to start our pushback now, which also means a few different things for us. Most importantly, that being that we need to turn our beacon on, which we did. And now let's keep going through the checklist as the tug is coming. So hit the arrow. Here's your checklist again. And here's the before start. Safety exterior checks are complete. Brakes, yellow, and park, pressure, and temperature. Remember I said that we were going to reference the temperature. The temperature is good here. Nothing is maxed out here on the brake panel. And again, the yellow and green brake temperatures are right here. So you can see we've got some pressure on yellow now because we've got hydraulic pressure. And here's the green one. So we're good there. Thrust levers, the fuel is off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fuel is off.
All doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Hydraulics, they're all off. There is no hydraulics that are on right now. This is the panel. And the fuel panel is checked and set. Well, the fuel panel, I'm going to go ahead and turn them all on now because we're running the APU, which is fine.
Winching strap and adapter in position. Release parking brake when ready to start pushback.
Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll belay that for a second. I'm not going to take it off. He'll just be waiting for us for a second. Pressurization is checked and set. So we need to make sure that happens. So we're only doing flight level 210 here. Let me give you guys the up top look here. Kind of breaking my neck here for you guys. Okay, pressurization to be checked and set. So this inner portion right here, as you can see, is the flight altitude. So you want to take this knob here and you want to put it over to your flying altitude, which is usually going to be an even number. In this case, it's flight level 210, 21,000 feet. So there it is. You want to make sure this is in auto, and then nothing else here you don't need to mess with. And you can see that this is an auto. Don't put it in manual because then you got to start doing manual stuff with the shut and the open and all that stuff. The discharge valves are normal, so that's good. That's to discharge any pressure that builds up in the plane during the flight. So that is good to go. Now it says ice detection on. For our next one, ice detection in this aircraft is always by default on, and it's even protected. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. It's even protected by this little wheel, but it is on. It's in the on position, so there's no need to mess with it. Okay, lights and notices are set. Let's get some water here in a second. Air conditioning checked and set. So we do have the APU on, so now we can turn the APU air on. And if the passengers are on there, they may be a little hot. You can actually turn the packs on right now. You're going to wait for them to connect, and you can hear it spool up. Fasten seatbelts sign is right here. All right, that's on. The flow meters, okay, are right down here, and this is for your fuel flow. They're zeroed out for all four engines, so that means there is no fuel leaving the tanks being utilized by the engine, so there's no flow. But here's your 4 fuel flows, and they're all zeroed out, so that's a check. Fuel contents need to be checked, so we're going to come down here, and here's the fuel. It's in kilograms, but we looked on the Avi tab, and it looked good. Now, here's the flight data recorder set. It's only on the first officer side, and it's tucked in right here. Now, the way you set this is you're going to do the 2-digit day, 2-digit month, which leg this is, which will be 1, and the number of your flight. So I got track IR, so this is always hard. So today is the 24th. This leg, oh, I'm sorry, it's the 9th month. This is the first leg. And we're flight 318. All right, so there you go. First 2 digits is are supposed to be the day. Second 2 digits reference the month. The next digit reference the flight leg, and the last 2 digits shouldn't be a 4, it should be a 3. Reference the flight number 318. So there you go. Flight data recorder set. Let me get some water, guys. Throat is definitely dry. Let's check the stream health here. Everything is looking good. You make sure stream settings are where I want them to be. Okay. I think we're okay. Let's go back to the analytics here. We just take a little sip of water. I stopped clearing my throat in front of you guys. All right. Nav aids, area nav set. Well, nav aids are here. We're going to also be referencing the chart for our departure. So we have the nav aids and area nav set. Now, during this part of the checklist, which is really not covered in the checklist, you want to come here. So here on both sides, the captain's side and the first officer side, you have this little lever, right, this little button here. Well, if you leave it in the nav here, the actual flight computer or the your heading bearings and what the aircraft's going to do in the LNAV position is going to go off of the VHF nav radio, which I just turned on. So that's the nav radio. We'll get into that if we're going to be doing ILS or anything later, and then we'll talk about this DME information here, so don't worry about that. But what you want to do is you want to turn it to the RNAV, which is the radio navigation. And now what you're going to get is the caution or block tape here for the glide slope, as well as the localizer, because that depends on it being in the nav mode, which we are not. So let's do that as well. All right. So altimeters are set and cross-checked. 29er, 9er, 9er. See, this thing went to 29er, 9er, 8 on its own. It just does what it wants. And then 29er, 9er over there, unless I'm touching some button. And then now the briefing is complete. The warning system ground OP reset. So that's where you come back over to this situation here. And that's the test. And it's out, considered reset, and then of course we mess with it again, so you got to take those off. TMS N1 speeds, we already did that. The thrust modulation system is all taken care of. That's checked and set. All right, there we go, guys. My wonderful, wonderful wife says hello. How are you doing, sweetheart? Thank you. She's in our mini mansion somewhere else. But checking in. I love you very much, honey, and thanks for following along here on this flight. I know you got to put up with all my flying stuff. All right, so now we can go ahead and take that parking brake off. And of course, we got to get that transponder going, so you should be hearing pushback started here in a second. So let's get our transponder on. Hopefully we didn't wait so long that he doesn't want to push us back. Parking brake is definitely off, so we'll just give it a second.
Pushback, and you may start engines.
All right, so now we're pushing back. So the APU generator, the external AC is set. The beacon is on, of course. Packs and APU air off if starting from the APU, which we are going to start from the APU, so we'll turn that off. Engine anti-ice is on. And let's go make sure we need our AC pumps to the on position. All right, that's to the on position. Fuel pumps we already turned on. And let's go back down and turn our radio guy on, since we are moving on the ramp. Okay, so our fuel pumps are all on, as we said. And here's our start power. So what we want to do is come up here. Start power is already in the normal position, and we want to turn the master to on, which is this button right here, guys. Boom. You'll see the start power is on. Check. We're going to start select engine 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to start those engines. All right, guys. Now, the way we start the engines is pretty easy. All we're going to do is you're going to move this selector level. I like to start at 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you're just going to push this down. All right, and release. Now you're going to see rotation here on the N1, which is good. Now you have to come over here, open up the fuel lever by left clicking it, and then grabbing it and moving it to the on position, and you are going to see some action right here. Flying time today, guys, is about 48 minutes. We'll see if we do another leg or not. These engines come up pretty quick. Okay, engine 4 is stabilizing on the N1 253. We've got our gas temperature balancing right out, 301 degrees. And of course we have our N2 fan and we have fuel flow. There's a good start on 4, starting number 3. Number 3, there's rotation on the N1 fan.
Parking brake.
Parking brake is set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Okay, introducing fuel. And you can hear that bad boy spooling up in the back. You hear it? So those two engines are on that side. On this side, actually. We'll disconnect. Alright, enough of that. Alright, we're going to wait for the engine 2 to stabilize. Engine 2 is stabilizing N1 253. Temperature is stabilizing at 303, now 302. N2 is up and in the green, and we have a fuel flow. Let's start on number 2.
Bypass bin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time, and have a safe flight.
Starting, thank you, sir. Starting number 2. We got rotation on N1. Let's introduce that fuel. And we're just going to keep doing it just like this, guys. And we're just going to do a few things, then we'll go through the checklist to make sure we didn't miss anything. I like to take off with the packs on here and not with the packs turning off in the air. Okay, we are stabilizing, approaching 253 on N1, reducing temperature to 303 degrees on our temperature. N2 fan is in the green, and we have fuel flow. Good start on 2. Alright guys, we are starting number 1. We have rotation on N1. Fuel on into the idle position, of course. You can see that engine is coming up. Let's get the ATIS as well. Alright, and it's stabilizing. See there, the ATIS went off. Alright, we'll worry about the ATIS here in a minute. We do have the weather. Okay, so we do have good starts. So now something that is going to tell us to do later, we're going to do it now. We're going to put this selector knob into the off position, and we're going to turn the master off. Of course, now we can go ahead and turn all of our generators on. Okay, this is our electrical panel that we had on before, but you see now here we've got our generator 1 that needs to come on. It's 2 clicks because the bottom click is the off position. Now it's off on the line, but now it's on. I'm going to turn that galley on. APU generator will stay on. 2 clicks. That generator is on. Let's go up top now. Now that we have the aircraft started, I am literally going to turn on the air now, because that's how I like to take off in this aircraft. I'm going to turn this air off so that we can leave the packs on. Alright guys, and then now I'm going to turn this anti-ice off because we don't need anti-ice. It's going to give us a message down here that we don't want. And let's continue the checklist now, guys, so that we can get up out of here. Alright, start power is to normal. We did the start selector master off. Again, just to show you where that guy's at, even already did it. This is to normal. Start power, engines are in the off position, the selector level, and the start master is off. Engine anti-ice is required. We turned our generators on, as you can see once again, the generators being here. So we did that. We put the galley power on and the General 4. Brake fans auto on. So now we're going to come up top right here, and we're going to hit 1 click, it goes to on, but we're going to turn it to auto. So we'll leave that on auto for the duration of the flight. Hydraulics on and checked. So now we're going to turn all of our hydraulics on, including the power takeoff. The AC pump is already on, and These two pumps are now on the on position. So everything is on, including our DC pump, AC pump. It's in the off position. Power takeoff's in the on position, and the engine 3 and engine 2 pumps are all on. So we're good there. The heaters refer to your pitot heats. So literally you're going to just go across here, turn your screen heat on, 1 click a piece, 1 click for your auxiliary left vane, 2 clicks for your battery, 1 click for the pitot heaters, and then another. I'm sorry, 1 click for them. The only 2 clicker on your heaters is the battery. 2 clicks. APU air and engine air. So I did it as required. I put my air on with the packs on. I turned the APU air off. TMS is required. The TMS, once again here, we're already squared away. Doors are closed. Ground equipment's removed, and transponder is required. The after start checklist is complete. And we did our trims. So now let me get you guys some controls, and let me make sure those are working. Check you guys out in the chat, and let's get out of here. So back here, let's turn the controls on. There we go. All right, camera is working. That's sort of another check. All right, let's do our flight controls check now, guys. All right, pull back, pull forward. All right, neutral back for the elevator trim. All right, aileron left, aileron right, neutral, and let's do rudder right and rudder left. Perfect. And we'll do our toe brake check upon our departure. All right, guys, let's go ahead and set our flaps for takeoff. All right, we selected the flap lever to 24, and you can see here we've got rotation here. I'm sorry, to 18. So we're taking off flaps 18, not 24. 24 would be for a shorter runway. Now you can see the only thing we have in yellow here, guys, is the parking brake. Brake fan selected on, air selected to the on ground mode. Perfect. Now the flaps are set and indicated, folks, so we are doing so well right now that I don't even know what to do. And now, because we are going to be flying this radio nav departure, we're also going to put this into the, we're going to select LNAV, and we're basically going to be following this. This is our golden egg right here, if you will. Regional departure, American 318 pushback from the gate with the weather on board, is ready to taxi. .17 right via kilo for American 318. All right, guys, we're getting ready to do it here. Let me check you guys out here really quick in the chat. Before we get going, we're going to see where kilo's at. So we're already pretty much on kilo. Okay, so we're pretty much on kilo. So we're going to take kilo all the way. So let's check our first officer side. So we just need to come over here and merge onto kilo. All right, guys. And then we'll start doing the takeoff checklist. Now we need to turn our runway exit lights on. Now remember I said that this was a 2-stage toggle here. So if you toggle up, it's landing lights, but if you toggle down, that's taxi lights. So you want to toggle down right now. All right, and let's go out and see what we look like so that we can truly be official. Hope you guys excited about this flight. I am. So there we are, guys. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and do what we do best. Parking brake is absolutely released. Got to give her some juice in order to get her taxi in here, I tell you that. Here we go, guys. And the cool thing about this chart, it does move. So the aircraft does move on the chart. Again, I think that's pretty nifty. For that to be integrated in here where the charts actually do move. All right, now one thing we didn't do, we didn't set up our MCP, but we're going to do that on the taxi. We're officially merging on over to Kilo. All right. So now we want our departure. We're pulling that up. Don't forget, we've got to put that power, all that information into the MCP. Top altitude is 10,000. Flight director's on. All right, there we go. All right, so we also have to come down here and we want to put this on the initial reference takeoff, and we want this one on legs, and we can see we're going to this intersection and then we'll be direct Spera, so we'll just double check that into the departure and make sure that's the accurate thing. And it is. So we're going to climb on a heading of 176. All right, definitely doing some multitasking here, guys. All right, guys. We'll square up that heading. All right. And I'm sorry you guys aren't even getting any of the audio. Let's fix that.
American 318, runway 17 right, clear for takeoff.
Runway 17 right, clear for takeoff, American 318. Alright, so we've already been clear for takeoff.
And American 318, are you this weird little quad jet thing? I'm just curious.
Yeah, this jet's not even in service anymore. We're a British Aerospace BAE 146. Yeah, the little Avrojet.
Huh, I've never seen that code before, so I just looked it up.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's like Bravo 486 or something like that. Alright, guys. We're going to continue to taxi straight.
American 9666, flying 240 to 782 vectors final. Heading 240 and descend 240 vectors final. American 9666.
Alright. So hopefully you guys are getting that audio now. It's my bad you guys weren't getting it early. I'll check and make sure it's coming in just fine. You can see there, we're almost full distance. Alright, let's start running this checklist here. Okay, brakes, yellow and check. Let's do the toe brake. Toe brakes work. Check. Flaps are checked. Selected. Flight instruments check. Flight director as required. Trims have been set. Let's check the config right now. Alright, that's that little button you hold. If it doesn't chime, you're good to go. Nav aids and transponders are good. Briefing was reviewed. Alright, get continuous ignition A and B on. Boom and boom. Cabin secure. Alright, now we need to come over here and
cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
get those people where they need to be. Alright, radar as required. AC pump is on. Lights and strobes on. TMS set. Controls check, which we did. MWS check. NWS check. Alright. And we're getting ready to turn on those landing lights and strobes, so don't think we forgot that either. Alright guys, there is a lot to this little aircraft, I'm telling you. It is something else. I'm not an expert at flying it. There might be a lot of hand flying because the heading mode is really weird how you use it. But let's get those strobes on now. Strobes are on. Landing lights are on. She's looking good. All right. Let's go ahead and line up.
American 9666, field 10 o'clock, 20 miles to first base. Highway of the airport, American 9666. American 9666, cleared visual approach right 17 center. Good visual approach, runway 17 center, American 9666.
American 318 advising. Takeoff roll started. All right. So a little courtesy.
TMS set to take off.
TMS is set to take off. Takeoff power is set.
Speed alive, both sides. 80 knots, cross-checked.
Cross-check.
Power set, N1 achieved.
Doing a little bit of right rudder here.
Road 28785, ready to go, 16 jump.
Pull it back.
V2.
All right, 10 degrees nose up.
Positive rate of climb,
1505, runway 16 for takeoff.
Gear is coming up.
Heading clear for takeoff, 16785.
All right, guys.
French retard, Christian American 1807, at Dallas, forward, 1 square.
All right. Okay, we're going to go ahead and initiate the autopilot because there's a lot to do here.
American 1807, clear to Oklahoma City, yes, files, my business, departure 125, 102, Scorpio 541. 10541 and then American 1807, be back good.
Alright, we're doing IS climb now.
Be back to 185.
Then we'll switch that up.
That was 0.41 or 01?
And we are going to go for
5
up.
05 and 41, 1810, right.
Autopilot engaged, yaw damper on. Gear is up. Flaps coming up. 2,600 climbing via SID for American 318.
Climbing did 1,000,
Direct graves up to 17,000 for American 318. 17,000 check. Set in the MCP. And he told us we can go direct to grade. We're executing that now. And the aircraft is most certainly going to, looks like, make its turn direct to grade. We should be on the heading of 359. So we took a southern takeoff. So as you guys can see, we're going to make a nice little turn. Alright, what we're going to do now, guys, we're going to put the aircraft into the vertical speed mode. And we'll watch the climb here. Right now, we're pitching up just under 2,000 feet per minute. And what we need to do now is we need to check our speed. We're going to let our speed increase a little bit. You pitch us down just one because we got to get to a certain. Place. In order for us to pick up a little speed. Right now we're still climbing pretty modestly as far as our speed's concerned, but we'll leave it here in the takeoff because then we got to mess with our TMS, which I'll show you. So let's go ahead and do the after takeoff checklist as we straighten up. Going over to center, 13575, American 318.
King, day 1, expect 13 right, destination 4,000. 4,000, Tango 1. Please 785,
okay. Let's figure out what's going on. The autopilot went off on me. Okay. Nothing we can't handle.
American 418, runway 17 right, taxi 8 kilo. Yeah, 10 kilo.
Let's get rid of this.
7 right, 8 kilo.
Figure out where our problems lie.
785, contact quarter 135, 175.
We got back on there. Now that we got our thrust to where we need it, we got to pull it back slightly because we have to come over here and we have to sync the engines to number 1. Yeah, see, I don't know what happened with that autopilot. That was strange, but we're back on course. Like I said, a lot of manual flying is going to happen in here. We're still got a pretty good climb. And let's go contact who he said to contact. Gotta keep it cool under pressure, folks. Alright, he said 135.75. Center, American 318, checking in with you. 10,300, climbing flight level 17. I'm sorry, climbing 17,000.
American 318, center, leaving, flight level 210.
Up to flight level 210, American 318. Alright guys, so we had a little emergency, but we got it up. Flight level 210, we're back on course. We had a nice little recovery there. And, yeah, landing lights off. Runway exit lights off.
LL 005 for center keeping.
have a nice little climb. Now let's see if I can pitch down a little bit.
November 7 Delta Lima, contact Oak City approach 124.2.
Switch over Oak City 124.2.
Alright, we should be good to go this time.
November 842 Tango Bravo, your radar contact the altitude. Leaving 1,200 now for QB.
Just going to pitch down a little bit. We'll just watch it like that, actually. So we have the altitude set, so it seems to be when you hit this VS, it doesn't really, it just unclicks itself, I guess. So let's see if we can hit it now and if it'll hold it right where we need to be. See, it kind of comes back up. So we'll leave it right there. Our speed is doing good. And let's see where we're at. 19 miles than eager than Tulsa. So let's get our weather radar on, and let's hit about 100 nautical miles. And we'll tilt it up. Tilt above by 5 degrees. Now we can do our checklist. All right, my wife says beautiful takeoff. Thank you so much, honey, for that little motivation there. Again, the autopilot went off as you guys saw, but we recovered the aircraft nicely. You just can't panic. Let's do one of our flybys and have some fun before we decide to get into the checklist. There's the airport. She is looking quite official, folks. I guess I'm stirring up some goodness here. Alright, we're passing our transition altitude. 29902 and 29902. We're good there.
832, contact Oak City approach 124.2.
So we've got less than 3,000 to go. Let's go ahead and pitch down a little bit. There we go.
American 9787, contact Tulsa.
Less than 2,000 to go. We're right at about probably 1,400 feet per minute. Let's go ahead and square that heading up as well. I always want to keep that heading squared up in this thing, man. You guys see at a moment's notice, autopilot could go off or something. We're flying an old bird here. Okay, 19,700 feet. And yeah, let's keep this going here. Move us back a little bit for that static view. Okay, 1,000 to go. All right. After takeoff, checklist, gear up, flaps up, TMS we have set to the sync, engine air is on, APU air is off, packs are on, pressurization, we'll check that right now. Alright, pressurization looks good, engine air is on, APU air is off, packs are on, cabin air we're going to put to recirculate.
Forward center team, Delta 493, 3055
And we'll stop the APU now.
Delta 493, full board center, good evening.
Alright, as you can see, we've achieved flight level 210 and the aircraft is stabilizing. Now we got to pull that power back to make sure that we don't overspeed. We got a lot of work to do here in order to figure our lives out. Now, there is no arrival, so as soon as we get to the Tulsa VOR, which will have ATC helping us out, we'll be direct to the field or on whatever vectors they give us, which at that point I'm going to be doing a lot of manual flying, to be honest with you. I still haven't mastered the heading mode in this thing, so we'll have to bear with me. I'm not scared at all in the least.
24-2, thanks for your help.
Okay.
Delta 2074,
let's finish this checklist.
Oak City approach 124.2.
Alright, after takeoff checklist complete, climb. We did altimeters. They're in the standard setting. We need to get the AC pump and the PTU pump off. Alright, AC pump and PTU pump is right here. We're going to go off and off.
American 649, contact
check,
regional approach
check.
125.0.
Brake fans auto off. Will we just leave it on auto? The APU, I just stopped it as you guys saw, so we followed that procedure correctly. Ice protection as required. Lights and notices as required. We're all good to go there. Then the next checklist will be the descent, PTU back on, pressurization, so on and so forth, but we're not too much worried about that. So if you look here, we're getting close to that barber's pole on the speed, so I got to pull that power back slightly. And yeah, let me now get rid of the power for you. Or not the power, I should say the actual, there you go, get that out of your way. Alright. So, whether we land good or not, we took off and we at least got ourselves on a heading and recovered at that with no visual reference. Okay, we'll keep this going here, and here in a second I'll see if there's some ATIS in Tulsa. Meantime, wow, let's get this view right here.
United 411 requesting that.
There she goes. Looking beautiful as ever. Nice day for flying.
Bonanza 6 Juliet's here. Can we step away for about 5 minutes? Bonanza 6 Juliet's here.
Alright guys, so we are officially doing good. Let's get back.
Air Shuttle 6293, Tulsa approach is going to need you
over to that nav tab here in a second.
Descending right 360.
Just watching that speed to make sure we don't pick up any more.
Back around, then I should be able to get you up to.
Now let's look at the FMS really quick. If we had some sort of top of descent in there, it would show up here, which does give us a top of descent, even though we don't have an arrival in there. So this is where you find that, is in your VNAV mode. And of course we'll keep that there. We'll keep this with direct Eager, and then we'll be direct Tulsa. So we'll be cruising here for a few seconds.
United 411 heavy descent via the Tisdale 3 arrival.
Excuse me. Oh, guys, can you hear that? So that's kind of how we use that piece. Now we can come back over here.
United
and now we need to pull up our charts.
The Tisdale 3 arrival is the one you filed.
We need to pull up our charts for Tulsa. Let's look at the Metter.
Center, good evening, American 480.
Okay.
13,700.
We got, so it's going to be a southern landing. We got winds at 9 knots out of the south, as you can see here. There's 10 miles of visibility. And we got a few clouds at 1,400 feet, broken at 2,500.
Descend at pilot's discretion, maintain 10,000.
Okay, pilot's discretion down to 10,000, American 318. Alright, so at our discretion, we can go down to 10,000. So what I like to do when we're given instructions like that, I like to come right over to it and put it right in. So 10,000 is set, but we're not going to activate anything yet, okay? Alright. We still have quite a ways to go. I mean, if you look at the distance from the field, it's quite a way. And we're only dropping 11,000 feet. Alright guys, so let's get into the rest of it. Let's go ahead and look at Tulsa. Let's go ahead and look first of all and see what we got going on. Our parking gate today is Alpha 9 at Tulsa. So we're definitely going to be coming in on 18 left. It's a southern landing.
Southwest 4866.
Right here.
Request.
So now that we know we can come in at 18 left, 10,000 feet runway, so we'll still land full flaps.
Southwest 4866.
And
level 350.
Right now, we need to focus on any approach plates. We got an arrival, which we're not doing, so here's the approach. And I'm assuming we're going to do ILS or localizer 18 left, or the visual.
493.
But you guys know I'm a creature who likes to stay ahead of the aircraft. So the ATIS is 24.9, but we're not even focusing on that. And the localizer for Tulsa International 18 left is 109.7. So let's get over here and work this out. So what we can do now is, in order to switch this little selector can determine if it's switching to active or the pre one. We're just going to switch to active. Let's take a look at what that frequency was again. 109.7. Alright, 109.7. So let's switch that up.
You're on the ground at DFW. Contact regional approach.
There we go. So that's set in there. So we can take that back off, and there's nothing else to set on here. Except the ILS frequency we can.
Yeah, no
which is 109.7 again.
Center Delta 3680, level 15,000.
There we go. Alright, 109.7 and 109.7, folks. And the final approach course is 180. Check you guys out in the chat here. My lovely wife says, gorgeous view. Thank you so much, honey, for, again, all the support, all the love, and all the feedback. Okay, so we said the final approach course is 180.
Delta.
All right.
Disregard.
And let's square up that heading. So far, so good, guys. Now let's come right on over here to our top of descent. It says 41 nautical miles now, so we can go ahead and start our descent now. Let me see how much we got to our next point. Tulsa, we got 114 nautical miles. So that's quite a ways to just be descended now, but we'll do it anyway. So what we're going to do is we'll make a notification. Pull that power back. See, we're pitching down, pulling that power back. Our warp center, American 318, is out of flight level 210, descending 10,000. So we're descending at about 1,500 feet per minute, and of course, we've got that active. Still pulling that power back slightly because we don't want to overspeed here, which that's what we're going to get. Very short flight here. Very short flight. And you got to keep the speed back because the pitch you set will not stay there because the aircraft is overspeeding and it's going to, and that lift starts taking an effect. So you really got to dial that speed back. And you'll know you're right at the right descent speed for the aircraft to handle because it will go back to where you set it. Alright, so let's see if we can get any ATIS at the field.
Bonanza 6 Juliet's here. We're back with you. 6 Juliet.
Guys,
Sierra,
if you're just
welcome
checking
back.
into the channel, do me a favor, hit that like button, smash it down, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're trying to grow this thing, so we'll see how that works. Tulsa ATIS is 24.9. Here we go. All right. Let's see here. So, see how this works out for us. And we're not getting anything. 24.9. Again, sometimes their stuff is messed up. But you guys know we have the onboard charts, so we just monitor our descent. Really, we're looking for that altimeter. So, click this again, and the altimeter there is 29908 in Tulsa.
For Southern Delta 4408, checking in 340. Southwest 2408, Fort Worth Center, good evening. Delta 2408.
Alright, 29908, check. And let's cross-check it, 29908. Let's get back to our approach plates. Okay, first of all, let's go back to the airport. Getting a little bit of chop there. Still at our 1,500 feet per minute pitch down. Alright, let's find these parking spots.
2436 Yankee, Fort Worth Center, good evening. McAllister altimeter 3001.
So we're going to come in, if you will, on the southern runway, to the best of my knowledge, 18 left. And we can pretty much take either Foxtrot or go full. Oh, we're getting ATIS.
West 180 and 8. Visibility 10. Your clouds at 8,000. Your clouds at 25,000. Temperature 26.
November 325 Charlie Juliet.
Altimeter
Proceed direct to the airport. Center maintain
Visual
5,000.
approach and use runway 18 left.
As I
Runway
suspected.
18 right. North is to airmen. 18 right is open. Whether approach likes it or
November
not.
38 Romeo contact.
Advise on initial
Tulsa,
Oh my
contact.
goodness.
You have
124.0.
information whiskey.
We got whiskey.
Tulsa approach 124.03 Romeo.
Okay, we got whiskey. I like the little humor there, whether it's open or not.
Information whiskey.
Whiskey.
00.
Sam Castle, thank you, my friend. For, oops,
20
let's go back to that.
Ceiling 23 south approach. Temperature 26.
Descending.
2.6. Simultaneous visual approach
Should
to
be
runway.
off.
LL 005 descend via the Distil 3 arrival.
17 left.
Alright, we'll descend about
18 right.
3 allow
18
005,
left.
thank you.
Simultaneous Carl traffic departure runway 17 right. 18 left.
All right.
To airmen.
I don't know if I can turn that off.
5 Charlie Juliet, you can
There we
expect
go.
that.
I don't know if we're going to keep getting ATIS, but we're doing good.
Tulsa
We're at 14.
International Airport ATIS information whiskey 0053 Zulu.
So Sam
Left
Castle,
18,
thank you.
0 and
He
8.
says, good job, Dre, for flying that
Visibility
complex
10.
plane. I appreciate you.
Your clouds at
You can see
8,000.
we're having a glitch right
Your
now.
clouds at 25,000.
Let's just go off by one frequency. There we go. That's one way to shut them up. And 3575, we're still good there. So we know what we're doing on our touchdown, and I don't think that it is quite. It says and parking spots. Oh, okay, here we go.
Fort Worth Center, Max.
We're parking at Alpha 9, so it'll be this first appendage here, or the southernmost appendage, if you will, and it's right on the corner. We always get these parkings right on the end of the corner. Sam, how you doing? Are you going to the Flight Sim Expo? Again, anybody else watching, thanks for joining the stream. If you haven't, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, so we can grow this thing together. So there's our parking. Let's get back to the nitty-gritty here.
Metro 5137, climb and maintain flight level 220.
Flight level 220, Metro 5137.
Maxi 312, Fort Worth Center. Good
So
evening.
hopefully once we get here, we'll also get a visual reference, which kind of has us cheat a little bit, which is good, which you're going to have in real life anyway. Oh, we got some cloud coverage here. Okay guys, so we have our ILS set in. We've got the final approach course of 180, and it looks like we're going to need it because we are in the soup. Pull that power back. And actually on this TMS, we should have switched it over to the descent mode, which we're doing now. Which is good because you want that N1 piping down. You don't want to be picking up too much speed here. Okay, we're almost about 1,000 to go. Yes, very complex aircraft. Again, you don't have the normal, you know, orientation to the ground or anything, so you really have to be relying on your bearing pointer and knowing how to read this bad boy. If you don't know how to read it, you bet. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. I wasn't able to get into the.
Phenom 524 Mike Golf 4.
There goes that 1,000 to go. I wasn't able to get into the manual on board, but this also does have a manual on board, which is pretty dope. In case you know you need to get in the air and figure something out. I'm still trying to figure out why the autopilot came off and the flight was going just great. But hey, we recovered. I know I'm gonna have to do a lot of manual flying and looking at the heading and doing my own altitude descents in this aircraft. Matter of fact, we might just do that. Okay guys, descent checklist. Getting ready to happen. Hey, we're also, oh, we got somebody down there. Let's see if we can, oh, we can't see him. Let's get rid of this. Descent PTU on. Pressurization is already set. Briefing is complete. Ice protection as required. Landing data bug set, which we're getting ready to do. Okay, let's monitor that speed there. Gotta get it right under 10,000. And we're at 10,000, so you guys know what that means. We need our lights on.
Endeavor 2842, Fort Worth Center, Canadian.
Right.
Climb and maintain flight level 310.
We said we're going to land full flaps.
2842. Fort Worth Center, American 106 with you at 13,000 for 17.
Full flaps, 119 is VREF. QNH landing, QNFE. 29.99er. I don't think we need to put that in there, to be honest with you. Alright, so we've got 119. We'll look at the winds again. We're at 250, which is copacetic, and we're holding altitude autopilot. Now we can come back down. Let's look at. We still have 52 nautical miles to go, so we'll just keep it right here. Try to be on our best behavior.
418, descend at pilot's discretion, maintain 10,000. Pilot's discretion, descend 10,000, American 418.
Alright, now you have to also go to the TMS. We're going to come back over here to the sync mode. And we also need to get those V speeds in there for our landing. So you're just going to click this, and you can see the speeds there. We've got some aircraft below us, but we're not going to be able to see them. You can see the little yellow tag over there.
Fort Worth, United 411 Heavy. We are reaching 7,000. We keep your frequency.
Alright, we're going to pick up on the speed a little bit.
United 411, contact Oak City approach 124.2.
124.2, United 411. Thank you, bye-bye.
We're not that far under, right at 10,000.
9700, level 400. Delta 873, contact Oak City approach 124.2. Delta 2080, contact Oak City approach 124.2.
4 Center, Delta 493, sorry, forgot to check back in.
Delta 493, welcome back.
All right, guys. So this is where we definitely don't need to be scared to fly this thing by hand. We're almost at the 250 mark. Just a little bit more power, and we'll be satisfied. Let's go ahead and look at the elevation. Elevation there is 678 feet. And let's look at the missed approach. Climb 2,000, then climbing left turn to 2,500 direct to Tulsa, VOR, continue to climb and hold at 2,500 feet. Looks like he's struggling too, so it's not just pilots that struggle. Okay, when we get the glide slope, if we get it at 2,400 feet, is where we need to be.
Delta 55, roger.
And let's look at our minimums here. Again, this is the missed approach. You know, climb 2,000, left turn, climbing left turn to 2,500 direct Tulsa, where you hold. Perfect, perfect. Here's the decision heights, of course, and this is based off of information in the aircraft, but if you do radio altimeter, as you see right here, it's 200.
They'll be able to get you vectored in.
Decision height should be 841 or 200 above. So if you match that up,
LL005, center
here's
on
641 is touchdown. Exactly 200 feet above that is
5137, contact forward center 132.2.
your decision height.
Envoy 4365, forward center 132.2.
See that? 841.
Endeavor 2842, contact forward center 134.2.
Okay, speed is doing good.
134.2 for 2842, thanks.
Alright. Landing.
Yeah, center, good evening, Justice 602, flight level 360.
I feel like there was somewhere in here where you're supposed to put the decision height in.
Center, good evening. Forward Delta 2408, we cleared the field arrival. Delta 2408,
cabin pressure.
arrival. Field arrival, 3 arrival, thank you, Delta 2408. And Delta 2408, contact forward center now on 132.2. Subject 2 for Delta 2408, thank you. November 8100, Mike, contact forward center 132.2.
Alright. We're making it happen. Depending on how this goes, and I'll talk to my wife and see if we're going to do another leg or not. Chances are we might not. It's already 6:16. Oh, we're cruising right along. Now, you see how these gauges get dim? Not to worry.
Forward center, FedEx 1471
Alright, now look at that. It's nice and bright. We'll come down here as well.
Delta 2408, contact Fort Worth Center 132.2.
Super busy flight, guys. Super busy flight. Let's look at our... We've got 24 nautical miles, so we should start getting some type of vectors here.
Fort Worth Center, FedEx 1471 320.
FedEx 1471, Fort Worth Center, good evening.
Now, the last time I flew an ILS in this thing, I hit this glide slope, and that was probably too far under it or over it, but we'll give it a try this time. This B-lock is actually for your back localizer.
Mike Whiskey, bye-bye! And that was 32-2. 32-2. November 977 Whiskey, contact Fort Worth Center 132.2.
So he's going to end up probably taking us all the way in, because I don't think we're in any other type of going to be controlled by anybody, because we're just flying in a little old Tulsa. 318 is with you, sir.
Contact Tulsa approach 124.0.
Tulsa approach 1240, American 318. Alright, so here we go. 1240. Tulsa approach American. Wrong button. Tulsa approach American 318. Fuel at 10,000, and we have the information, I believe, whiskey at the field.
American 318, Tulsa approach. I'm sorry, you said you had the field site?
No, we have information whiskey at Tulsa.
Hawaiian 323 to maintain 3,000.
To maintain 3,000, Hawaiian 323.
Great. Correction area 3340, Mike, kind of Kansas City Center 12718.
127.8, thanks for the help, 340, Mike.
American 318, thanks for Victor. Descend a pilot's discretion, maintain 5,000. Expect visual approach, runway 18 left.
Down to 5,000, expecting visual 18 left, American 318.
American 318, departing Tulsa VOR, heading 360, vectors to final.
Okay, we'll fly heading 360, vectors to final for American 318. Alright, so let's get down to 5,000 first, and then go on a northern heading. We're going to pull that speed back now, and I'm going to get you guys some controls on here in a minute. 1, 2, 3. Alright, let's start that descent. And let's try this heading mode thing. Let's see, we're going to do...
Hawaiian 323 to running 09.
360.
Correction, to running 130. Correction, 150 to running 150.
150, Hawaiian 323.
Yeah, I still don't know how to get this thing to make the turns on the heading. I gotta... But all I'll do is just take it off of autopilot for a second. And make a nice smooth turn to that heading.
Tulsa approach, police 1.
Police 1, Tulsa.
Yeah, over the interchange, northbound towards Tulsa.
Police 1, over. Police 1, Tulsa, over 999.
999, approach 1.
And shoot, guys, I might just hand fly this thing the rest of the way. To be honest with you.
American 418, 12000, descending 10,000, information whiskey.
Alright. Let's go back and get that ATIS again.
323, airport 12 o'clock, 7 miles per field site.
Field inside, Hawaiian 323.
Hawaiian 323, quick visual approach, 18 left, connect Tulsa Tower, 121.2.
Alright, we're down about
1212, clear for visual, 18 left.
I'm gonna pull that power way on back. Let's get you guys some controls here, because this is gonna be a little bit different than I normally do. Alright folks, we're hand flying it already.
A1 Romeo Delta, Tulsa approach, Tulsa altimeter 2999. Expect visual approach, 18 left.
28 left, 1 Romeo Delta.
American 318, did you ever go to the Tulsa VOR?
Oh, I'm sorry, I turned left to a heading of 360. Did you want me to go direct to the Tulsa VOR, sir?
I wanted you to depart the Tulsa VOR heading 360. Those are your instructions.
Okay, I'm sorry, I totally missed that instruction. What would you like me to do now? Stay on current heading?
Yeah, just stay on your 360 heading. I just wanted to make sure I just wasn't seeing anything.
No, you're not seeing things. That was me misinterpreting the command. We'll stay on the current heading, American 318. Sorry about that.
No worries. A1 Romeo Delta, to sort of maintain 5,000.
Alright guys, so now we can go back to the autopilot feature.
To maintain 5,000. Depart Tulsa VOR heading 360. Expect visual approach, 18 left.
Okay, down to 5,000, after Tulsa, 360, expect 18 left, American 418.
American 318, just to maintain 3,000.
Down to 3,000, American 318.
American 318, what's your aircraft type?
We are British Aerospace BA-146.
American 316, turn left heading 200, intercept the 18 left localizer on the heading or track inbound.
Alright, so down to 3,000.
Police 1 on station.
Alright guys, so we're going down to 3,000.
American 318, turn left heading 200, intercept the 18 left localizer, track inbound on the heading.
Okay, left 300, intercept the localizer, 18 left, track inbound on that heading for American 318.
In our 38 Romeo, contact Kansas City.
Alright, so now here's where we gotta switch this to the nav. And
7.8
we gotta
Romeo.
hit this button here. Localizer is armed. We're gonna go autopilot off.
Autopilot disconnected.
And we're going left 300. Start pitching up a little bit. We're gonna do speed check, flaps 1.
And Police 1's on station.
Here in a second.
Police 1, go ahead.
Just let you know we're on station, 1,500 feet.
Alright. Heading 30, a little bit under our speed. Localizer is armed. Let's see if we have any type of visual reference of ourselves on here. Which I don't think we do. Let's get our checklist going too, guys. Doing a lot here because I'm hand flying.
Localizer captured.
American 318 is on a heading of 300.
American 318, you are assigned 200 heading. Turn left heading 150. 150, intercept the 18 left localizer.
Left 150, intercepting the 18 left localizer. And sorry about that, I did repeat 300 and I didn't get any correction. So left 150 to intercept localizer 18 left, American 318. Alright, we need to bring our... We're having some troubles here. That's okay though. Let's balance out our height here. Check that landing speed once again, 119. Alright. Come on, 150 on the heading. There's a lot going on here, guys, but we're going to get it in.
American 418, reduce it to 180.
180 on the speed, American 14.
American 318, verify your altitude.
American 318 altitude, we're under 2,500. I mean, back up to 3.
Speed checks below 205. Select flaps 18.
Alright, guys, we are struggling.
0, correction.
It's okay.
360 to 783 down.
Guys, we have no flaps. Flaps
American
are...
318, looks like you intercepted the 18 right localizer, intercept 18 left localizer. Flight 170 to do it.
Appreciate that. We'll be intercepting the 1-8 left localizer, and just we're gonna have to declare an emergency. We're not getting any flaps on this thing, so we're still gonna continue the approach, but advising that we don't have any flap movement here. All right, guys. So this is definitely very crappy. So we're gonna go left now, and I think I have a visual of the field. So let's get some drag going on here.
Terrain.
I don't think we're gonna make this one, guys. Let's go up.
Terrain.
Let's go up and make sure my AC pump's on. Still got no flaps.
Tulsa departure American 2400 back 1 year, departure Wayne. Roger, stand by. It'll be a minute or two.
Alright, I have the runway in sight, it looks like.
Actually, American 2400, runway 18 left, turn takeoff. Pick up runway 18 left, American 21. American 418, turn
Flight Sim's alive, 1 dot to go.
Left 270, American 418. American 318, via the airport site, 12 o'clock, 6 miles.
Localizer captured.
American 318 does have the field in sight.
American 318, quick approach runway 18 left, quick land, traffic to Boeing 737. Now, prior your arrival.
Third 18 left, but watch out for the Boeing 737 departing the field. American 318.
Tulsa, police 1. Push across the extended center line 1500 feet.
Alright, guys.
Remain west of the...
We're bringing her in hot.
Sink rate.
With no
Negative,
flaps.
like to cross the 8, runway 8 extended center line 1500 feet.
Alright, we're going to use some speed brakes here. Throw in the power. We're using the speed brakes as kind of like a flaps right now, because we are super fast.
Sink rate.
Hopefully he clears out. We're coming in hot. We are coming in hot, guys, on an
Speed
emergency
check
landing.
below 180. Select flaps 24. Speed checked below 170. Select flaps 30. Ground idle.
Alright. I don't know how we did that, guys.
Passing 1600, American 2400. American 2400, clear PJ, correction, leading 2500, clear PJ.
Yellow and green spoilers.
Alright. We're going to have to do some manual braking. We don't care if we burn up the brakes.
80 knots. 60 knots.
Alright. Reverse free.
Airport inside, American 14. American 14, clear bridge, runway 18 left, here number 1.
Alright, guys.
Or greater control funnel.
Man.
For the 5 mile funnel.
That was crazy landing with no flaps. I don't know how that happened. But I'm just glad we're on the... That was very sloppy, guys. A lot of pressure. A lot of...
546 Quebec, you have a good evening.
I got the ILS last time. I think we messed up this time because of our... we got the wrong frequency.
Please one, say again, I'm sorry.
Police 1-1, you can get us across the 18, it'd be appreciated.
And in this bad boy, that's going to be it for the day, I can tell you that.
Airbus 320 on a 15-mile funnel for 18 left.
Police 1.
Alright.
And Police 1 has traffic.
Taxi lights on.
418, traffic, 12 o'clock, on 5 miles. The helicopter 1,500 west to east on the across the funnel.
We are on Foxtrot.
Okay, appreciate that. We'll be looking for traffic, American 14. November 1, Romeo Delta, turn right 150, intercept 1 left localizer. 150.
The guy's on our gate, I think.
18 left localizer, Romeo Delta.
And approach American 318. Clear of runway 18 left on Foxtrot 1, holding short Foxtrot.
338.
American 318 is headed to gate Alpha 9, holding short of Foxtrot on Foxtrot 1.
Roger, straight ahead. The parking this frequency.
Straight ahead to park in this frequency, American 318. And just FYI, you have a lot of background noise, sir.
Yeah, there's numerous people in here.
Roger that, and thanks for your help. Sorry about all that. This aircraft is really quirky, but I appreciate your help and patience with me, man.
Yeah, of course, no worries.
Alright, so we definitely somehow, some way made it in. Excellent job, my friend. You handled that emergency like a pro, Sam Castle says. Yeah, so what I did is I noticed on certain emergency landings, especially with swept wing aircraft, that you can use the air brake, which is what we did. This guy, that American jet, is in our gate, so we're just going to come to this other one over here. But yeah, you can use the speed brake to kind of act as we were way over speed. And I almost had a little bit of blind landing, but it was lined up and we were pitched right. So
Police 1 is on station.
yeah, and you know, X-Plane does it all the time where they just put in failures. This was completely a crazy flight. Very sloppy. Probably shouldn't have done this with this aircraft anyway, but we did it, guys. Even with the emergency. What? Something to talk about. Let's see, we were looking for Alpha 9 and we're getting Alpha 10, so no worries. That guy over there is an Alpha 9, so we're just going to pull her in here. I would say make sure flaps are up. There's no flaps to even make sure they're up. They don't work. Alright guys, we can go ahead and turn the power off to this TMS. And we're coming into Marshallers. Let's get the runway turn off lights out of their face.
Tulsa approach, Endeavor 2842 is 28 miles south of Tulsa at 10,000. Endeavor 2842, Tulsa approach, Rudder. Expectation pressure line 18 left is going to maintain contact. Alright, expect visual 18 left and down at 5,000 for Endeavor 2842.
So very interesting flight. And as you see, nobody apparently, we're just going to stop right there. Nobody is flying this aircraft because they're all scared to fly this thing online. So with air traffic control, so I'm definitely going to do some more flights in this thing to hone in on the skills, and we're going to go ahead and go engine 1 through 4 off. Up we go. We're going to get some flashing and beeping here, but that's okay. We're going to turn our beacon off, and we are going to turn our lift spoilers off now. Brake fans can come to the off position, and we can get our pumps off.
We have whiskey and what's the approach? 1-8 right or left?
And let's get the APU air on for the passengers.
1-8 left, Rudder.
Packs off.
Police 1
Pitot heat's off. 2 clicks. Boom. And anti-ice is off. Continuous off, which we should have turned off. Generator off. Shred. Da da da.
You want to overhead the field instead?
And we can turn these 3 pumps off. We'll leave the left outer pump on.
Want to go overhead the field?
Welcome in to Dallas. I'm sorry, Tulsa. We are definitely not doing another leg after that madness in this thing because the flaps are messed up, which means I'd have to reload the aircraft. So let's just double check that I got off. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get off of VATSIM network, of course, do our replay and call it a night. All right, we are disconnected.
1800 Zulu weather. Wind 180 at 10. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 25.
All right, let's get that off. And of course, welcome it in to Tulsa. Wow, what a crazy flight that was, you guys. Let us just see how we did on the replay. I know it's not going to be, well, the landing might not be, it was an acceptable landing for an emergency situation. So you guys know for sure I will definitely take that all day long. Sorry if I looked flustered, but I'm here to tell you that's because I was.
Both sides.
See, we're trying to do that nice little lineup. You guys don't even need to see me.
180 M10. Visibility more than 10. Sky.
All right, let's see if we can get a tower view. This looks to be a weird tower view. On the way in we go, guys.
Tulsa INTL information Victor. 1800 Zulu Road.
Sam Castle says, sorry for not being able to see the landing time, Binga says. Binga, hi, how are you doing? Sam Castle, thanks for checking in. Has to go. See you next stream. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Sam Castle. Binga, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. And no worries. I barely saw that. I'm going to have to get that ATIS off once we land. I thought we were going to get a good view. We might. Let's see if it lets us get a good view. There we go. Come on, man. Let something work for us here. Let's at least let us see the touchdown here without impeding. See, we pitched up, trying to keep it nice and slow. Not a bad touchdown, guys. Not a bad. I tried to keep the nose up to bleed speed. See that? I tried to keep that nose up to bleed that speed. And we didn't do too bad of a job for an emergency landing situation. That nose was still up. For whatever reason, it doesn't model on the replay the fact that the brake was out. My sim stopped doing the flaps and stuff on the replays.
Sync rate.
Switch that up.
Sync rate.
Bingo, really not bad to be honest. Appreciate you. Let's go watch that again, guys. Again, we had an emergency situation where there we go again with the ATIS. Let's get back in there. Man, this is crazy.
Sync rate.
Tell you what, let's turn these off.
Sync rate.
As you can see, man, we're just getting all types of notices. We'll do it again, guys. Don't worry about it.
Sync rate.
Binga says, you keeping that nose up godly. Oh, thank you, Binga. Let's watch that again.
Sync rate.
We definitely got to watch that again, guys. I mean, what a challenging day.
Sync rate.
So, as you guys can see,
sync rate.
Sky conditions 25,000 scattered.
as you guys can see,
2.5.
oh, it's still on fast forward, I think.
Arriving runways 18.
All right, watch that nose, guys.
Departing runways 18.
We keep it up.
18 right.
Keep it up. We keep it up. And we're still pretty much center of the runway, even though it wasn't a direct center landing. And we finally touched that wheel down. One more time on that. Guys. One more time on that. There we go.
Wind 180 at 10.
Here, let's shut this music down. We'll get it back going on another replay.
Conditions 25,000
All right.
Temperature.
We're just gonna have to deal with him talking. There's nothing I can do about him.
Altimeter 2998.
So touchdown.
Arriving
We kept it
runways
pitched up.
18 left. 18 right.
Boom.
Departing runways 18 left.
At this point, it was very important for us to keep the nose up, to bleed the speed as much as possible. I could probably even kept it up a little higher, but we kept it up. We kept it up. Again, what you're not seeing right now, the speed brakes were out on my replays lately. I don't know if it was a Windows update or whatever the case may be. It has stopped repeating the surface movements of the flaps and the air brakes and all that. The flaps I think is working, but the speed brakes is the one thing that I've noticed that hasn't been working. So guys, wow, you know, I'm telling you what, my wife says, love the way you handle the landing, boo. Thank you, babe. Just so tough. Matter of fact, honey, I'm gonna do your view you like right now.
18 right.
I mean, true to life, flight emergency happened right before our eyes. All right, let's watch us keep that nose up. I was trying to get it center, but at this point, I was just worried about touching it down. And you can see we still got that nose up. It won't let me look any lower. But look at that nose, guys. Look at that. Boom! Just touched down. Wow. Wow. Crazy, guys.
Sync rate, 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 sync rate,
Sync rate, both sides.
sync rate, sync rate, sync rate,
Both sides.
sync rate, sync rate, sync rate, sync rate.
All right, guys.
Sync rate.
You guys know how I like to finish this thing off. We're gonna go to the back, a wing view. We'll do something. There we go. I just paused the track IR. Just want to tell you guys, thank you for checking me out. Emergency landing situation. We couldn't have handled it any better. Thanks to you guys, we made it through. Definitely a rough approach. I felt like I was just one of those guys flying on VATSIM that was a newbie. That wasn't the case. We were having problems. I did repeat commands. He didn't correct me. It is what it is, but at the end of the day, hopefully the passengers fly American again, because we got them down safely, even with an emergency. The flap's not working. I honestly think because of what the situation with the ATC we're hearing all that, that was the problem. Nonetheless, thank you. Muchísimas gracias a todos que han visto this video. Montón de gracias a ustedes. To my wife, I love you for all your support. My family, Sam Castle, Benji, or let me get your name right, Benga, and anyone else who checked in. Thank you so much. And from the Dre YouTube channel, I'm out. You're gonna ride it in from this wing view, and I'll be at the Flight Sim Expo. Hopefully, I'll take some pictures, and I'll see you guys soon.
5,000 scattered. Temperature 27, dew point 5. Altimeter 2998. Arriving runways 18 left. 18 right. Departing runways 18 left. 18 right. Advise on initial contact. You have Victor.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20. 10.
Tulsa INTL information Victor. 1800 Zulu weather. Wind 180 at 10, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 25,000 scattered, temperature 27, dew point 5. Altimeter 299A. Arriving runways 18 left, 18 right, departing runways 18 left, 18 right. Advise on initial contact you have Victor. Advise on initial contact you have Victor.